episode 44 of the Fit Pro podcast.
So we don't have to rely on bro science or what the big jack guy in the gym says. We can actually look at what the data says, and the data is objective. The data doesn't lie. The data can point us in the direction of making good decisions.
Welcome back, listeners. Before we get into today's episode, as always, if you want to take this podcast on the road with you, make sure you're subscribed at Fit Pro Podcast on iTunes or on Podcast and Radio Addict on Android, or if you want to splurge and spend $1, podcast at Pocket Casts. Yeah, podcast at Pocket Cast. That works. And you can check that out and take this show on the road with you. Let your friends know, share it around. And today's episode, we are speaking to Mario Tomic. So another Mario, the Mario brothers. No, they're not even related, guys. But let's get into today's episode with Mario Tomic. Welcome back to the Fit Pro Podcast, listeners. I am your host, Marvin Fayez, and today we've got a very, very special guest on. We have Mario Tomic. He's the founder and CEO of ShockingFit.com. He's a YouTuber, a science nerd, and a dude who loves to lift heavy weights, so much like myself. Mario, how are you?
Doing good, man. Good to be here.
Awesome, man. Thanks for coming on and taking the time. Before we get into the show, I'd like to let the listeners know who you are personally and what is your background, and then we'll get into the meat and bones of this show.
Okay. Well, I'm just a regular dude, right? That's the first thing that I have to point out. I'm just a guy. I love to lift heavy weights. My background is actually, I have a master's in computing. So I graduated computer science, the angle of computing. That makes me a big science nerd. Statistics, math, things like that, computers. And along the way, about 6 years ago, I decided that I want to shift my focus more toward health, as I got extremely passionate about health. As I've changed my own health and transformed my own body, I was like thinking, this seems to be something I'm more passionate about than programming. And that's what kind of led me to start my own blog. Then from my blog, I got a couple of first clients. Then eventually I started a YouTube channel, which now is something that most people know me by. And I'm using basically those things that I've learned in computing as statistics and things that help me interpret scientific data, and using the whole scientific approach, evidence-based approach, to look at nutrition, to look at exercise science, to look at things that are from the realm of psychology, and combine all those things into an integral approach that we can literally take and just apply, customize, and get really, really good results. Because it's the first time in history that we actually have a decent amount of research, so we don't have to rely on bro science or what the big jack guy in the gym says. We can actually look at what the data says, and the data is objective. The data doesn't lie. The data can point us in the direction of making good decisions, compared to anecdote, which is more like, okay, this worked for me, so it must work for everybody else, which often, I mean, we know that these things aren't the case in real life. I mean, certain people will just naturally have strengths and weaknesses opposite than you, and then if you do exactly what they do, you might end up with a totally different outcome. So I love science. I love using the scientific approach and learning directly from the sources, as well as from researchers themselves, who I have the honor to meet at conferences. And in terms of my fitness education, I am certified in physique coaching and nutrition coaching from a program done by Shredded by Science, which features Eric Helms and Mike Zordos. These are Eric Helms is actually in New Zealand right now. I believe he's doing his PhD. Mike Zordos is doing a lot of research himself on powerlifting and weight training. I mean, I'm deep into the science. I live and breathe fitness every day, all day. So that's kind of like a quick, short story of what am I doing right now.
Awesome, man. And I 100% agree with what you said. We've got so much information nowadays that there's no point to just wing it. And there's more information than there's ever been in the world. maybe our parents might have had an excuse that they didn't really know what they were doing or whatever when it comes to fitness, but now there is no excuse. And there's so many ways to skin a cat when it comes to fitness. There is so many ways. There's the wrong way, there's the right way, but there's millions of right ways as well. Funnily enough, you mentioned Eric Helms. I was supposed to try and get him on the show, but we keep sort of rescheduling, mostly on my end because the timing is just weird. New Zealand and Australia is like 3 hours, but those 3 hours are very crucial because it's either literally 3 hours ahead is the hardest time to schedule because I still work a day job, so I'll finish work, and then that means I get home at 7, 8 o'clock. That makes it already 11 o'clock at night over there. 9 times out of 10 they're sleeping. So it is actually quite a difficult one to reschedule versus 15 hours behind or 10, 12 hours behind, which is weird. But Mario, thanks for that great breakdown. And your background's quite interesting because I was reading your website before this podcast on how you were very much like a computer nerd and very like a sedentary lifestyle. What flicked the switch for you? Why did you decide to make this change, basically?
Well, here's the thing. Here's like a lovely analogy that I like to use. I started parenting myself as a little kid, right? You don't eat your veggies. Your mom tells you, hey, you gotta eat your veggies, you can't skip your broccoli, you gotta go to school, you gotta read books, you have to learn, you have to get good grades, and teachers are telling you what to do. Everybody is kind of having a nice little structure, pushing you from outside of your comfort zone, and forcing you to do things that you know that you need to do, and you just don't want to do. And then you turn 18 or 21, depending on whatever country you're from, and then there's no more accountability, right? Nobody's telling you to do stuff that you don't want to do, and now it's up to you to tell yourself and make yourself do the things that you know you need to do to move forward. And that's kind of, I guess, the phase that most of us go through. If we go to college, we go in that YOLO mode for a couple of years, same as me. And that YOLO mode for me lasted throughout my whole college. And what happened is I wrecked my health pretty badly. And not only that, I've kind of fallen off the wagon in terms of investing in myself, educating myself, and developing myself as a person, right? I fell into traps of just basically retracting from the world, not pushing myself in terms of social skills, not learning about business, not learning anything. I was just thinking, okay, if I get this college thing handled, which I did, had good grades there, everything else is going to be fixed. That's kind of that illusion that we're promised, and then eventually we realize, well, when college ends, damn it, the world doesn't work that way. It's not that simple, right? And in the meantime, I realized how important health is, because if I didn't have my health, I literally couldn't operate on a day-to-day basis. I was forcing myself to do even the basic things. If you have to force yourself to go out of bed in the morning to not have enough energy to do that, there's something is wrong, right? And if your mood is screwed up, if you're falling to these depression waves and things like that, it's mostly that you're not investing in a great exercise plan and not doing a great diet plan. And these things are all a part of a human being. We can't look at and isolate one portion of your life and say, okay, this guy is an amazing businessman. Everything else is affecting that, and also the fact that he's an amazing businessman may be affecting other parts of his life. So it's kind of an integral approach, and I've noticed that with myself. So I guess what triggered me when I came back from college was I just looked at around me and I was like, okay, my life isn't going in the direction that I need to go. I need to handbrake this. I need to turn this around or turn into a different direction. Otherwise, I'm going to be screwed. I'm going to regret the fact that I'm going to waste my best years not reaching my full potential. It's kind of a weird, I guess, a thing that happened is that I read Anthony Robinson's book, Awaken the Giant Within, by recommendation from a friend. And that's one of the first books that I've actually read with that I read without forcing myself to read. If you read a math textbook, you're dying to finish it and just go through that. But with Awaken the Giant Within, I just read it in one go, and I was completely fascinated by the fact that I identified that I fell into a victim mentality and I wasn't taking action in my life. So that's kind of what I guess triggered me to seek more personal development stuff, get into health, fitness, and handle everything. And from there, it was just a lot of momentum, a lot of action taking, and that's where we are today.
Oh, perfect, man. And obviously, I mean, I think up to this point, people understand that it doesn't happen overnight. And you made a massive change from what you were doing to what you're doing now. And there's a big psychological thing that has to happen in order for you to make that change. You need to break those paradigms of what you think is the correct thing to do, as well as what you were taught in college. And then now are you doing shockingfit.com, and are you a YouTuber full time now, or do you work as well?
This is my full-time thing. I have a coaching company. I coach fitness, nutrition, and personal development for the last 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my full-time passion. And when I say full-time, I mean full-time times 2. Yeah. I'm literally immersed in this 24/7, 365 days of the year, right? So I don't look at it as a job anymore.
No.
It is simply what I do and who I am. So it feels like that if I don't reach out and if I don't talk to my clients, if I am not with them, I feel a little bit weird, and it's like, why am I not doing what I'm passionate about? That's kind of like moving from a job that you're forced to do to something that you want to do, so the hours aren't an issue anymore. Yeah. Right? So the hours are just okay, whatever, it doesn't matter, I'm enjoying it.
There's no work days. Every day is a work day, and that's the very important distinction, is that when you do your passion, and I find it now when I'm podcasting, because I do it as my side hustle, so after work at this point in time, the amount of hours I sink into it, it doesn't feel like hours that are lost. It doesn't feel like hours where I'm doing something for someone else, and that flows on into my weekends. That flows on into my family time, and I'm a closet workaholic. I just like to work on my passion. I like to do this, and so it does not seem like work. And when it doesn't seem like work, I feel bad when I'm not doing it. I feel like there's somebody else out there right now working harder than me, and I don't know. This must be a psychological thing with me, but I feel like it's served me really well so far, because the amount of time and effort you put into something determines on how successful it's going to be. And they say it takes 10,000 hours to be a success. Well, those 10,000 hours can come sooner if you just hustle harder. And when you started shockingfit.com, how long did it take for you to start seeing, people starting to approach you? Because everyone wants to become a blogger. Everybody wants to join the internet craze of business, but they don't know how long it takes for the results or the people to come in and start approaching you.
Right. Here's one thing that I'm going to get back, and then we can attack this point. The point when I say passion, I mean like that you have a glimpse in 2 to 3 months that it's all worth it. And for those 2 to 3 months, you kill yourself working. That's what passion really is. It's not that I wake up motivated every day and I'm like, yay, it's time to work 16 hours or something like that. No, that doesn't happen. But you get a glimpse every 2 to 3 months of like, okay, oh my God, I'm changing the world. I have to keep doing this. And that's what keeps you going. People have an illusion that passion is literally something that is always with you. It's a kind of like guardian angel, like telling on your shoulder and telling you, hey, go, do it, go. It keeps you motivated. No, it's absolutely not. It is a lot of discipline. A massive amount of action taking is required if you want to make changes. But it is looking long term that creates that grit that is necessary for you to be persistent enough for long enough to actually make a difference. And now we can go back to Shocking Fit, because this relates back to the story, is that when I wrote for the first couple of the months on the blog, nobody was reading the blog. Nobody was reading. Not even my mom was reading the blog. She doesn't understand English. Nobody was literally caring, or nobody didn't even know that what I was doing, right? And that's one thing that people kind of give up in the first couple of months, because nobody's listening. And that's true. That is absolutely true. Nobody cares, right? Mm-hmm. And the point that is, kind of a transition point where you're like, okay, I'm doing this for myself and I'm going to improve at it so much that I'm going to eventually create some form of impact. Someone will notice eventually. And believe it or not, a couple of articles, here and there, you might give a hit or appear on Google's front page, or your YouTube video gets shared on social media because someone really resonates with you. Because there's always someone who will resonate with you. Even though my English was horrible, let's say 6 years ago when I first started, my English is not good even today. It's decent, but it's not perfect. And I'm not a native speaker, right? I'm Croatian, so we don't speak English in our day-to-day job or work or with anybody. So when I wrote those articles, if you look at them right now, they don't make any sense. I'm embarrassed myself. But there's still people out there who were like, damn it, I resonate with this guy. He's on the same path as I am, and we're kind of in the same part of the journey, which is that first 6 months to a year. And that's where people can resonate with you. Because if you're someone who is in this for 7-8 years, it's a little bit harder to tailor your content and your expression to someone who's just starting out, because you kind of lost that empathy along the way. So there's, no matter where you are in your journey, there's always someone who's going to resonate with you. So it's not an excuse not to put yourself out there. I'm telling everybody to do at least video blogging or some kind of writing or expression, or even cooking, or whatever you're doing, some form of expression. Yeah, we're inhibited, right? We don't do anything, right? And we just absorb and we consume information on a day-to-day basis, an enormous amount of information, and we don't put out. It's all getting stored. It's all not being expressed in a way. And that's kind of, I guess, if you look at the biggest regrets of people who are dying, there's this cool article, and I think it's a book as well. Yeah, what people regret the most is that they haven't had the courage to express themselves, and that's sad. We don't want to. Why would you do that? Especially in today's age, where you can take your smartphone and create a video in 2 minutes and just share what the hell is happening. It doesn't have to be special, and we're afraid. It's fear ultimately.
It definitely is fear, because everybody has the capacity to be an author. We are all authors of our own lives. We're all writing this book, and there's so many ways of expressing yourself. And look, there are people out there that love being listeners. They love being readers. They love just being outsiders watching. But look, if you want to make an impact, if you want to leave an impact, leave a footprint, there's so many ways to do it now. It is actually quite ridiculous. And hey, if you don't like being on camera, start a podcast. If you don't like, like talking into a mic where nobody's like you're not getting that interaction, do a live stream, do a video, do something. There's so many ways for you to get your story out. And like we were talking before, everybody's got this unique story, this unique outlook, but there's absolutely somebody else out there that will resonate with you. And man, that was actually quite a deep point. That was really cool. But so you did Shocking Fit. That's still going at the moment. And then a few years ago, you decided to jump on YouTube as well. What made you decide to jump on YouTube?
I was getting too comfortable, right? It goes back to the point of I was hiding behind, let's say, writing articles and Facebook posts and doing things like that. And I was like, okay, next level, I need to push myself. Otherwise, I'm not going to be motivated enough to do it. And that's kind of how my brain works, is that if something starts becoming comfortable, I won't do it because it's not challenging anymore. So I'm always seeking for the next challenge. And I felt like YouTube is a part where it's going to enhance a part of me that I'm not comfortable with. And then I was like, okay, if I master this YouTube thing, that's going to change me as a person. It's going to make me a better person. It's also going to improve my public speaking skills, which now I'm doing events. And that's something that I'm moving more toward in the future, is more live events, because I can reach a wider audience like that. But also YouTube itself is, I can spread the word and really help a ton of people like that. So I'm willing to go through the hurdle of however many hours it takes until I'm dead, literally, making videos, if that's helping someone. Right? It's kind of that mindset that if you're giving value, if you're putting out value, everything else is easier, right? Everything else is kind of handled, right? I'm not saying that you don't have to run a business or have some financial intelligence and things like that, but has to come from the fact that you're giving value to the world. And YouTube is one of the best places out there to reach a million people very, very easily. Some of my videos have close to 1 million views, and my whole channel, I think at the time making this podcast, has about 4-5 million views, right? So that's never in the history was that possible for a random guy like myself. I mean, to do that, right? And that's an amazing medium that I don't see people using enough, right? And that's just a little bit sad, but it's not for everybody. Again, you said you can do podcasts, you can do blog posts, you can do tweets, you can do smoke signals, whatever your expression is, right? Just do it, like just do something that is a little bit uncomfortable, and you will find yourself in a whole new world, and you're gonna be happier as well. That's one thing.
Yeah, man, and I find YouTube to be really, really good, because it's the first time in history that the normal man, the normal person, the normal girl can basically become famous. There's so many famous YouTubers. It's like not like they've ever been in a movie, not like they're a successful artist, but they are good at what they're good at, and people recognize that, whether it's grooming tips, whether it's fitness videos, whatever it is. There's so much opportunity out there at the moment. So when I hear people going, oh, I don't know what to do, I'm stuck in my dead-end job, or I don't know how to get out of this, have you looked? There's so many options, and it's not for everybody, but it's an option. Now, when you started your YouTube channel, did your audience from Shocking Fit follow you there, or did you have to start from scratch?
All 200 people, yes, probably. I had a little bit of a head start with social media. I had a bit of a following on Facebook, and it kind of started from there. And the way I kind of decided to do the YouTube thing is really put myself out there, who I am, not try to change myself. I'm a very logical, analytical, step-by-step, information, knowledge-driven guy, right? I'm not the guy who is watching drama TV shows, series, and crying over different things, right? I'm a very, very logical person. So I try to put myself out there in that way, and I know that there's guys like myself who will resonate with that. And that's kind of how most of my audience right now, and I mean, and I hate using the word my audience, it's kind of like a community that we have going on, is we're all like-minded individuals. And I don't even look at it like my YouTube channel. It's kind of a community that we have going, and it's an amazing place where I can share pure data with people and make it a little bit exciting in my own way as best as I can. And it's helping people. Right. And it started, I mean, as I said, I believe when I hit 10,000 subscribers, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? 10,000 people? And now it's 50,000. Like, how did this happen? What is happening? Because we can't anticipate or predict how much of an impact we can make until you truly start putting in a lot of work. I started doing daily videos about a year ago. And I just told myself, well, I'm going to do daily videos for the next 5-10 years, and I'm going to see what happens, right? And you see what happens, 50,000 subscribers in less than a year. And I do daily videos, right? Daily, there's no excuse. I have to put a video out, literally. I mean, sometimes I don't get sleep. I just go out and film a video or edit the video in the middle of the night, wake up because I forgot it or something, I'm just going to post it regardless of what's going to happen. Christmas, Easter, airplane, bad internet, have to sleep over next to a Starbucks in the middle of the night to upload it on a bench. Sure, whatever it takes, I'm gonna do it, because I'm a big believer in consistency. That's my only skill, I think, and my only true trait that I'm proud of is I'm consistent. If I say I'm gonna do something, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna push myself so hard and I'm gonna do it. So it's sometimes at the expense of my health or my stress or people around me, but I'm just going to do it because I've made a promise to myself, and I'm going to hold that promise. I'm going to hold that integrity, right? Because I don't want to disappoint myself, because I'm my own worst critic. So that's kind of like a battle that I have going on. But yeah, I mean, it is producing an enormous amount of work. And that's kind of the mentality that I have behind it.
I mean, when it comes to any sort of platform, it is consistency that it builds trust, because people can almost be guaranteed that tomorrow I'm going to get another amazing tip from Mario. I'm going to get this this information that can change my life. And look, when I watch your videos, they're very factual, obviously. This is who you are. You can see it. It comes through, right? Sort of, I don't like to compare people, but I compare you similar to like Radu Antonio from Think Eat Lift. These videos are very similar, where it's, for the longest time, he didn't have the biggest audience, but then everyone started resonating with what he was doing. And when you do like something like a daily vlog or a daily video upload, it builds that consistency you're talking about. How has that transitioned into how you do like your coaching? Because I assume your consistency in one thing is consistency in another. And that was episode 44 of the Fit Pro podcast, listeners. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, make sure you head to fitpropodcast.com and check out our archives. Check out what we've got going on, all the episodes we've had in the past. If you like the show even more, you can head to the Facebook page, give us a big thumbs up, share it around, let everybody know that the Fit Pro podcast is here to help those stay motivated and inspired. There is a part 2 to this episode coming up. It will be released later this week. I'm currently on holiday in Bali as you're listening to this, so I'll try and keep the updates rolling. I've got some automatic ones set up, so it should come up with no problem. If you are a motivated and inspired individual and you have an amazing story that you would like to share, make sure you make sure you send me an email at marvinfitpro@gmail.com. I will reply as soon as I can, and maybe we can make this work. That being said, listeners, enjoy the rest of your week, and I'm out. Peace.